Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Letters for My Future Baby via IUI. I just want to thank you for coming back and listening to the things that I have to share with you. If you watched my first video, you know that I shared why I'm choosing to walk this IUI journey as a single Christian woman. But what I didn't share was the wrestling that happened before I made that first phone call to the fertility clinic, and that's what we're going to talk about today. This was not just a medical decision, this was a spiritual one, this was an emotional one, and this was a deeply personal decision that I made. And honestly, it was a battle between my will and the Lord's will. If you see me looking at the side, is because I'm looking at my notes. I don't want to forget the things that I want to share with you today. The inner battle really started to begin when I turned 38 last year. And as I was turning 39 this year, and in a year and a half, we'll be turning 40, medically speaking, I just could not ignore the big elephant in the room. As a nurse, fertility declines, and I know this, at age 35 and thereafter. The quantity and the quality of our eggs decrease significantly. The risks increase. The risks for miscarriage, for chromosomal abnormalities, the risk for pregnancy complications. The world and some medical terminology will categorize my pregnancy or any pregnancy 35 and older as a geriatric pregnancy. That does sound really harsh, but that's what they call it. I found myself asking questions to the Lord. Lord, am I rushing you? Am I stepping ahead of you? Or am I just being responsible with the biology that you gave me? I've prayed for a husband. I've waited. I've trusted. I've put myself out there through so many different avenues, through dating apps, through starting new hobbies, extracurricular activities, to put myself out there, to get myself to different socials and just places where I could put myself out there. I started also visiting some congregations last year, this year, to see if my, Mr. Right was out there. I've traveled consistently throughout the years with my eyes open to see if someone's out there, and I haven't found that person. So I couldn't keep ignoring the big factor, which was the time, right? Time created this tension, and it was something that it was very real to me that I just couldn't ignore anymore. So in my conversations with the Lord, there were lots of nights where it was just silence and lots of crying, lots of tears, lots of me thinking of Psalm 37:4, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And just being so honest with the Lord, I've been delighting myself in you for years, and I believe and I know that you are, and you have granted so many desires of my heart. But this huge desire, being a mother, had not gone away. And I kept saying, Lord, was motherhood a desire that you placed in me? Am I trying to force something that's not for me? Can you take this desire of me, of me being a mother away from me, Lord? And even as I asked for that, I felt like that desire grew more and more. The Lord, that was not part of his plans to remove that desire. So I had to check internally, in my heart, was this fear? Was this impatience? Or was this good stewardship of the biology and the knowledge that the Lord had given me? And the more that I prayed, I started to feel that something started to shift. It was not urgency anymore. It wasn't the time. It wasn't panic. It was peace, this peace to move forward. And if you have walked long enough with the Lord, you know the difference between the anxiety, panic, and the peace that comes from the Lord. A peace that surpasses all understanding. Philippians 4:7. A peace that we can't even explain. In the middle of the turmoil and the uncertainty, it's a peace that just settles over you, and that is what I started to feel. It didn't mean that I had all the answers, right? It didn't mean that this would work. it meant that I could move forward, trusting him with the outcome. And then came the conversations with my family. I'll probably get into more detail about each conversation eventually, but I did have conversations with my mom, my dad, my siblings. I think the most important conversation for me was the conversation with my dad and with my sister. And the reason why was because my sister would be the one that would be living this life with me hand by hand. She would be my right hand. She'd be the person helping raise my child or my kids, because I know I could have twins with this process, and I needed to know if she was on board. And when I knew that she is on board, that the fears that I had in my heart, just, not to share personal information regarding my sister, but something that she's been very open about this. She doesn't see herself having children of her own. So that created this anxiety in me. I didn't want to impose over her. I didn't want her to feel obligated to raise my kids because she's my sister and she would never say no to me. And obviously her response was, no, absolutely not. That's for me. Obviously, that's a personal thing for me, but raising your kids, that's a total different story, because I'll be the auntie and I want to be the auntie. And that's something that she's always wanted. And she, 100% will support me. And the conversation with my dad, I delayed it because, again, coming from a place of fear of disappointing him, I had this fear that he would be so sad that I didn't find my husband yet, and that I was going to do something a little less traditional. And I just was coming from a place of fear that he would, judge me or just be disappointed in me. And it turned out to be the complete opposite. He was very happy. He was so proud of me. He told me that he'd support me no matter what, and that he wants to walk with me throughout this process. And it just gave me so much peace. My mom did the same, and everybody in my family just very supportive, and I'm excited for all the things that will bring of 2026. And I just wanted to have this peace from the support that I knew would matter the most, which was my immediate family. I shared with a few friends, very supportive. I had a lot of hard questions that were asked and made me think about a lot of things, but ultimately they all supported me through prayer, some financially. And I'm just so grateful to all of you. If you're watching this video, I love you so much. Thank you so much for just being so gentle with me in those conversations and for supporting me. So leading to this phone call to the clinic, right? I meet with my therapist. My therapist tells me, have you made the phone call? Because I've been talking to her about this. And I'm like, no, I haven't made the phone call. I'm really scared. There's this part of me that just, I don't know, I'm afraid what I'm going to hear. I was afraid that I was going to hear that I was infertile, that I couldn't have babies of my own, that this, irregular period and this, just issues with my weight that I've had throughout my entire life, that there was some hidden underlying issue with my health that would affect my fertility. It's a fear that I've had for years. And I just was afraid to make the phone call, to pick up the phone, even though I had already researched the clinic, I had researched the doctor. So my therapist looked at me, and if this is you today, this is gonna be me giving you advice. Stop standing in your own way. She told me, Denise, you're standing in your own way. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what they're gonna tell you. And you're coming from a place of fear, and you're just standing in your own way. So I want you to hang up, from ending the session with me and call the clinic, or do it tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning. So I did. I called, I believe it was the next day, and it was the simplest thing that literally I could have done. I've made so many appointments before in my life, but this was so I felt like once I made the appointment, there was no turning back, right? And then I'm like, now I'm gonna know what's really been going on with me, And so I made the appointment. It was a huge celebration internally because I felt like it was a confirmation for me. It wasn't a confirmation of pregnancy, but it was a confirmation of obedience. I obeyed the Lord. I did a hard thing, and now I knew that I could start moving forward. So for you all who don't know what IUI stands for, or just the medical explanation behind intrauterine insemination, I wanted to just give you a little blurb. IUI is a less invasive fertility treatment. It involves monitoring ovulation via ultrasound, sometimes using medication to stimulate the egg development. That's typically with letrozole or I think Clomid, but for me, they'll be using letrozole. And also there is another medication, they call it the trigger shot. I forget the name, but they will basically trigger your ovulation, and then they are going to be placing the prepared sperm that I'll be getting from a sperm donor into my uterus around ovulation time. It increases the chance of fertilization, basically of conception, and it will decrease also the distance that the sperm needs to travel. Because I've been recently diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, my ovulation can be very irregular. Some months I don't ovulate, meaning I don't have my period. So some medication will have to be used to help regulate the process. That's why it's very crucial that I, have and take advantage of the help that the Lord created, the science behind it, the medication, and obviously the doctors that'll be with me. Where I'm at right now is I completed my genetic testing. I'm in the 2-week waiting period for the results. Once I get the results, I'm going to meet with a genetic counselor to review all of my genetic testing. Those results are very crucial because if I'm a carrier of any disease, I need to make sure that I don't select the sperm donor that has the same carrier gene. Basically, I don't want to pass any of these diseases on to my kid or children. And so I need to make sure that I understand my genetic results very thoroughly, and also seek guidance through the genetic counselor as I share my sperm donor candidates to see which one, which profile fits the safest and which profile is the best to choose. It's a very overwhelming process. I'm not gonna lie. I've been pretty overwhelmed, I think, this week. I am gonna be using my family to help me narrow down the donors. And there's the science, there's the logistic, there's the cost, there's the emotions, but through it all, I keep reminding myself that a doctor can assist in this process, the medication, the science can assist, but God is the giver of life. And, while the embryo will form naturally or with assistance, it's still formed under the sovereignty of God. So with the IUI, with IVF, or naturally, the Lord is sovereign above all things. And that is my faith. At the end of the day, this journey is not me taking control from God. It is partnering in faith with the Lord, faith with action. I think sometimes we forget the action part, just like when you pray for healing, you still take medication. If you pray for provision, you still go into work, I'm moving forward in peace, but also with open hands and surrender to the Lord, knowing that if this works, I will praise him. If it doesn't work, he's still good all the time. That is my faith. That is what's driving me. And if you're watching as a single woman in the church, wrestling with the timing, the biology, the obedience, the fear, I see you. You're not alone. I'm in this. I have been in this battle and with this wrestling with my faith for the past, I feel like 3 years, specifically these past few months. I hope this reminds you that seeking the Lord with all your heart deeply before making this decision, it's never rushing him. It is honoring him. Thank you for walking this journey with me. My next video is going to focus more on my PCOS diagnosis and how I'm preparing my body for this journey. I love you all, and to my baby, I cannot wait to meet you. This is all for you, and I hope that you get to understand this, and that you can see how much I love you and all that it went to getting to a moment like this, to hopefully meet you in a few months. I love you.